I have two toddler sons. They're just like any other toddlers and are pretty self-absorbed. Currently one adores cars and the other loves the colour red. Toddler 1 won't play with anything but cars, and Toddler 2 will only play with red toys. My mum hosted a party the other night and one of my aunts came. She bought a bunch of gifts for all the kids. The older kids were respectful and accepted their gifts, but my sons simply glanced at the toys, noticed they weren't cars or red, and moved on to something else. I thanked her for the toys and made a joke about how unpredictable toddlers are after realizing that she looked upset, but she rolled her eyes and said, "That was rude." I told her that they're toddlers and she said, "So, my kids knew how to say thank you by the time they were 3. I told her that they can say please and thank you, but they're still learning. She made a noise and said, "Learning to be rude." I told her she was being a little sensitive and that they're literally babies. They don't even understand the concepts of being rude or ungrateful. She got annoyed and said, "Fine then, don't expect any more presents after today," and that she hates entitled parents like me who are blinded by their children and think they can do no wrong. I said, "Whatever," and told her she could keep the gifts she bought for today since my kids couldn't care less about them. She got all red in the face and said, now she knows why the boys are so rude, but I just grabbed the kids and my husband and left. I was extremely angry at the moment, but now I'm just in disbelief. Who gets offended by a toddler? My mum says my aunt is very upset with me and is threatening to uninvite us from her Christmas dinner aunt is hosting this year unless I apologise and promise to raise my kids better. My mum thinks we're being ridiculous and I should just say sorry, but I said no. Am I the idiot? I just can't wrap my head around why she's so angry. Edit. First, to be more specific, the boys just turned 2. Second, I feel I made this clear, but I apologised and thanked my aunt before anything else. The boys had already run off to their dad and were preoccupied with him by the time I got to my aunt, so dragging them over and trying to maybe get a thank you out of them felt like a waste of time for all of us. I'm not saying she isn't allowed to feel hurt, but she didn't have to say all those things about my kids. I've explained this in the comments. People still think I'm in the wrong, but a few people are saying to include it anyway. The boys don't really speak. Yes, they're 2, and I'm sure your 2-year-old niece or nephew can speak several languages, but my sons barely say mommy and daddy sometimes. It's not something concerning, but I didn't think it was worth the time to drag my kids back to me and my aunt and get them to say thank you, which they won't even acknowledge me until about 10 minutes in, and then they'll just stare. Sometimes I can get a noise or sound out of them, maybe a ooh, but I figured my aunt had better things to do than wait that long. I sincerely believe that there was no reason for her to get so angry, but I understand that I was wrong and will apologise. We won't be attending her Christmas party though. Thanks for all the comments. I appreciate the nice ones with constructive criticism. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the a-hole. Your kids are just starting to be verbal and your aunt is flipping out like this over lack of verbal expressions. Parent of 20-year-old twins here, who are kind and thoughtful people and write thank you notes. Nobody expected correct responses from them when they were toddlers. It was my job to express our family's thanks for whatever was given to them. You did that, and your great aunt is being a bit too much. Are you a twin parent? I see you. Comment 2. Who gets offended by a toddler? She's not offended by your toddler. She's offended by your behaviour in response to your toddlers. Did you not get that? Her entire point was that when your kids are rude, it's your job as their parent to guide the right response, and you didn't do that here. Everyone sucks here because you both overreacted. Now for the update. So, it's been about a month since the whole gift-giving debacle with my aunt, and things have been pretty wild since then. After the incident, my husband and I decided to lay low for a bit, hoping that the drama would blow over. But of course, family drama never just disappears, does it? A week after the party, my mum called me up, sounding more frustrated than usual. She said my aunt had been bad-mouthing us to the rest of the family, claiming we were raising our kids to be spoiled brats. I couldn't believe it. I mean, sure, the boys have their quirks, but they're not even 3 yet. How spoiled can a toddler be? Anyway, my mum was caught in the middle trying to play peacemaker. She begged me to just apologise to my aunt to keep the peace. I was still pretty miffed about the whole thing, but I agreed to talk to my aunt. Not necessarily to apologise, but to at least clear the air. So I called her up. It was awkward, to say the least. I tried to explain that the boys were still learning and that their behaviour wasn't a reflection of our parenting, but she wasn't having any of it. She said that unless we showed some real progress with the boys, she didn't want us at any family gatherings. I was taken aback. It felt like she was holding our place in the family hostage over this. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago, my husband and I noticed that Toddler 1, the car fanatic, was starting to play with other toys, not just cars, and Toddler 2, our little lover of all things red, was suddenly fascinated by the colour blue. It was like they had done a complete 180 overnight. We were shocked but happy to see them branching out. I thought this might be the progress my aunt wanted to see, so I sent her a video of the boys playing together, sharing different toys and colours. I thought it might warm her heart a bit, but the response I got was not what I expected. She called me furious, accusing me of staging the video to make it look like the boys had changed. She said she knew we were just trying to manipulate her into inviting us back into the family. I was floored. I tried to assure her that the change was genuine, but she hung up on me. Now here's where things get really weird. Just a few days ago, my husband and I were going through some old family photo albums, and we stumbled upon a picture of my aunt when she was a toddler. In the photo, she's sitting on the floor surrounded by a bunch of toys, but she's only playing with one, a little red car. I couldn't believe it. The coincidence was too strange. I showed the photo to my mum, and she went pale. She told me that when my aunt was little, she was exactly like our boys. She would only play with cars and love the colour red. But after a bad fall when she was 3, she suddenly stopped playing with cars altogether and started hating the colour red. My mum said it was like she became a different child overnight. I didn't know what to make of it. It was eerie how much it mirrored what was happening with our boys. I decided to reach out to my aunt one more time, to show her the photo and tell her what my mum had said. But when I called, her number was disconnected. I tried to contact other family members to see if they had heard from her, but no one had. It's like she vanished into thin air. No one knows where she is or what happened to her. And now with this strange connection between her past and my son's sudden change in behaviour, I'm left with more questions than answers. What does it all mean? Is there some family secret that we're not aware of? And most importantly, where is my aunt? Now for the comments. Comment 1. Hey, toddlers are gonna toddler, right? They have their likes and dislikes, and it's totally normal for them to fixate on certain things. Your aunt should understand that at their age, they're not capable of being rude in the way adults are. Stick to your guns, you're doing just fine as a parent. Comment 2. Man, this reminds me of when my niece only wanted to play with spoons, nothing else. We all bought her fancy toys and she just ignored them. Kids have their phases. Your aunt overreacted big time. It's not about the gifts, it's about family time. Now for the next story, my grandma, Dad's mom, left me, 27-year-old female, my dad's 52-year-old male, portion of her inheritance, but left him and my brother, 30-year-old male, nothing. For context, me and my brother have never met my granddad. According to my dad, he and his father had a very toxic relationship. After my dad and my mum, 49-year-old female, met, they started dating at university, and they had my brother. My parents then got married, which made my granddad stop talking to my dad. A couple of years later, they had me, and we've been living happily ever after. After my granddad died, my dad began to spend more time with his mum. We also got to spend more time with her, and we even spent the Christmas holidays at their house. She was this sweet old lady who just loved us so much. Her energy was so electric and contagious. I won't lie when I say that Christmas as a teenager was my most cherished time. Sadly, my grandma passed away last year. After her funeral, my 2 aunties and I were called to speak to a lawyer. She died with a house worth more than $500,000. For context, she lived near Oxford, to her name and over $200,000 worth of cash and other heirlooms. When we went through the inheritance, the lawyer explained that she divided it into 3 equal parts. It was between her 2 daughters and me, who got my dad's share of the inheritance. She left her son nothing. When my dad found out, he protested and asked how was that possible, but I wasn't too concerned. During the proceedings, my grandma's lawyer, who was in charge of the inheritance, gave me a letter written by her a year ago. In this letter, to be read after her death, she explained that her husband, my granddad, had disowned my dad completely. This is because my dad is not my brother's actual father, as he's a child from a relationship my mum had previously. My dad met my mum when she was pregnant with my brother. My grandparents, my granddad in particular, thought this was extremely weird. He did not approve of this and was vehemently against it. My dad didn't listen and married my mum a year after my brother was born, which prompted my granddad to excommunicate him for good. During the years, my grandma stayed in contact with my dad, but we, my brother and I, did not meet her until after my granddad died. The thing is, neither my brother nor I knew that my dad wasn't his biological father. A day later, my dad called me to discuss the inheritance, but I didn't want to meet him. He doesn't know that I know, and I don't know how to tell him I know. I haven't received any money yet, but based on this, I feel like I will not share it. My family is understandably calling me greedy, but I just don't really trust them anymore. This is already causing heavy division in my family, and now I feel like dropping this news will destroy my family completely. Should I just be truthful about the reasoning, or what should I do? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You're the idiot. You sound like you are judging your dad the same way his parents did. He is a good man who stepped up and loves your brother like a son. If you lose your family over this, you will deserve it. Comment 2. Your dad committed decades of his life and the required resources towards a selfless act, and you want to turn around and make it about you and your feelings. What the effer? You're the idiot. Now for the update, a lot has happened since I last shared about the inheritance situation. The past 2 weeks have been a whirlwind of emotions and decisions, but I think I've finally reached a point where I can share the outcome with some peace of mind. After much contemplation, I decided to confront my dad about the letter from my grandma. It was one of the hardest conversations I've ever had. I sat down with him, just the two of us, and I laid everything out on the table. I showed him the letter and watched as a mix of emotions played across his face. He was shocked, hurt, but there was also a sense of relief, like a burden had been lifted off his shoulders. He confirmed that it was all true. He told me about the struggles he faced with my granddad and how he chose to love my brother as his own, despite the complications it brought into his life. He explained that he never wanted my brother or me to feel different or unloved because of the past. It was a deeply emotional moment, and I saw my dad in a new light. He wasn't just the man who raised me. He was a man of immense strength and love. After our talk, I knew what I had to do. I reached out to my brother and told him everything. It was important to me that he heard it from me rather than finding out through the grapevine or worse, during a heated argument. He was stunned, understandably, but he took it better than I expected. We talked for hours, and by the end of it, we were both crying and laughing, reminiscing about our childhood and the man we both called Dad. The next step was to address the inheritance. I had made up my mind. I called a family meeting with my dad, my brother, and my 2 aunties. I explained that I didn't feel right keeping the entire inheritance to myself. It didn't sit well with me, knowing that it could tear our family apart. So I proposed a plan. I decided to keep a portion of the money, enough to cover some personal goals and to invest in my future. The rest, I split between my dad and my brother. My dad tried to refuse, saying he didn't need it, but I insisted. I wanted to honor my grandma's memory by using her gift to bring us closer, not push us apart. My brother was grateful, and I could tell it meant a lot to him. With the money I kept, I started a college fund for my future children, invested in some stocks, and set aside a bit for a down payment on a house. I also used a portion to organize a small family trip. It was the first time in years that we all went on a vacation together, and it was amazing. We created new memories and strengthened our bond. My aunties were supportive of my decision. They said that Grandma would have been proud of the way I handled everything. They also shared stories of her that I had never heard before, painting a picture of a woman who valued family above all else. The inheritance issue brought a lot of hidden feelings and secrets to the surface, but it also brought us closer together. My dad and brother's relationship has grown stronger, and I feel like I've gained a deeper understanding of my family's history and the sacrifices they made for each other. In the end, I learned that family isn't just about blood relations. It's about the choices we make and the love we share. I'm content with how things turned out. The money that could have divided us ended up uniting us in ways I never imagined. It's been a tough journey, but I'm grateful for where we've ended up. We're not just a family, we're a team, and we'll face whatever comes next together. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. Hey, it sounds like you're in a tough spot, but it's great you're looking to do right by your family. Maybe consider setting up a family meeting with a neutral mediator, like a family therapist, to help navigate this sensitive conversation. It could provide a safe space for everyone to express their feelings and work towards a resolution that honors your grandmother's wishes, while also acknowledging the complex family dynamics. Comment 2. I can't imagine how hard this must be for you, but it sounds like you've handled it with a lot of grace and maturity. Remember, it's okay to feel conflicted. Your decision to share the inheritance is a testament to your character. Investing in your future and creating a college fund is a beautiful way to honor your grandmother's legacy. And that family trip? What a wonderful way to heal and strengthen your family bonds. You've got a good head on your shoulders, and I'm sure your grandmother would be proud of the choices you're making. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.